Hello everyone, welcome to the session. In this session, we are going to discuss literacy efforts in India. The National Literacy Mission defines literacy as acquiring the skills of reading, writing and arithmetic and the ability to apply them to one's day-to-day life. Adult education aims at extending educational options to those adults who have lost the opportunity and have crossed the age of formal education, but now feel a need for learning of any type, including literacy, basic education, skill development, vocational education and equivalency. With the objective of promoting adult education, a series of programs have been introduced since the first 5-year plan. The most prominent being the National Literacy Mission or NLM that was launched in the 1988 to impart functional literacy to non-literates in the age group of 15 to 35 years in a time-bound manner. By the end of the 10th plan period, NLM had made 127.45 million persons literate, of which 60% were females, 23% belonged to scheduled caste or SCs and 12% to scheduled tribes or STs. 597 districts were covered under total literacy campaigns, of which 502 reached post-literacy stage and 328 reached continuing education stage. 2001 census recorded male literacy at 75.26%, while female literacy remained at an unacceptable level of 53.67%. Census of 2001 also revealed that gender and regional disparities in literacy continued to persist. Therefore, to bolster adult education and skill development, Government of India introduced two schemes, namely Sakshar Bharat and Scheme for Support to Voluntary Agencies for Adult Education and Skill Development during the 11th plan. Sakshar Bharat, the new variant of earlier NLM, set following goals: to raise literacy rate to 80%, to reduce gender gap to 10% and minimize regional and social disparities with focus on women, SCs, STs, minorities, other disadvantaged groups. All those districts that had female literacy rate below 50% as per census 2001, including left-wing extremism, affected districts irrespective of literacy level, are being covered under the program. The right to education is a fundamental right and UNESCO aims at education for all. India, along with the Arab states and sub-Saharan Africa, has a literacy level below the threshold level of 75%, but efforts are on to achieve that level. The campaign to achieve at least the threshold literacy level represents the largest ever civil and military mobilization in the country. Directorate of Adult Education originated from National Fundamental Education Centre or NFEC, which was set up by Government of India in the year 1956. This centre was renamed as Department of Adult Education and made part of National Institute of Education under the NCERT in 1961. Following the government thrust on adult education, resulting in substantial increase in adult education activities, programs in the country, this department separated from NCERT and was given an independent identity in the year 1971. For some time, it was also known as Directorate of Non-Formal Adult Education and ultimately the Directorate of Adult Education. Over the years, the Directorate has considerably expanded both in size and coverage of activities in the field of adult education or literacy. At present, this Directorate enjoys the status of a subordinate office under the Department of School Education and Literacy, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. The main functions of Directorate of Adult Education are provide academic and technical resource support to National Literacy Mission, prepare guidelines for development of teaching learning materials, organize training and orientation programs, monitor the progress and status of literacy campaigns and to provide regular feedback to National Literacy Mission, produce media materials and harnessing of all kinds of media, that is electronic, print, traditional and folk media for furtherance of the objectives of National Literacy Mission. Provide regular feedback to the NLM about the findings of concurrent and external evaluations of literacy campaigns conducted through Social Science Research Institution. Coordination, collaboration and networking with all the Zilla Saksharata Samitis, state literacy mission authorities, state resource centers, Jan Shikshan Sansthans and other institutions or agencies for continuous improvement of content and process of adult education programs on behalf of NLM. The mission goes beyond 3 R's, that is reading, writing and arithmetic, for it also seeks to create awareness of social disparities and a person's deprivation on the means for its amelioration and general well-being. The central and state governments, Panchayati Raj institutions, NGOs and civil society need to work in union to realize dream to create a literate India. Sakshar Bharat has been formulated in 2009 with the objective of achieving 80% literacy level by 2012 at national level by focusing on adult women literacy seeking, to reduce the gap between male and female literacy to not more than 10% points. The mission has 4 broader objectives, namely imparting functional literacy and numeracy to non-literates, acquiring equivalency to formal educational system, imparting relevant skill development program and promote a learning society by providing opportunities for continuing education. The principal target of the mission is to impart functional literacy to 70 million non-literate adults in the age group of 15 years and beyond. The mission will cover 14 million SCs, 8 million STs, 12 million minorities and 36 million others. The overall coverage of women will be 60 million. 410 districts belonging to 27 states or union territories of the country have been identified to be covered under Sakshar Bharat. Eligibility criteria for coverage under Sakshar Bharat. A district including a new district carved out of an erstwhile district that had adult female literacy rate of 50% or below as per 2001 census is eligible for coverage under Sakshar Bharat program. In addition, all left-wing extremism affected districts irrespective of the literacy rate are also eligible for coverage under the program. There were 365 districts in the country that had adult female literacy rate of 50% or below. Home Ministry has declared 35 districts as left-wing extremism affected districts. However, 30 left-wing extremism affected districts also had adult female literacy of 50% or below. Therefore, 370 is the net number of districts that qualify for coverage under the program. Since 2001, several eligible districts have been bifurcated or trifurcated. This has raised the total number of eligible districts to 410, out of which 35 are left-wing extremism affected districts. Program provides for coverage of only rural areas in the eligible districts. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan or Total Literacy Campaign was launched in 2001 to ensure that all children in the 6 to 14 year age group attend school and complete 8 years of schooling by 2010. An important component of the scheme is the Education Guarantee Scheme, an alternative and innovative education meant primarily for children in areas with no formal school within 1 kilometer radius. The centrally sponsored district primary education program, launched in 1994, had opened more than 1,60,000 new schools by 2005, including almost 84,000 alternative schools. The bulk of Indian illiterates live in the country's rural areas, where social and economic barriers play an important role in keeping the lowest strata of society illiterate. Government programs alone, however, well-intentioned, may not be able to dismantle barriers built over centuries. Major social reformation efforts are sometimes required to bring about a change in the rural scenario. Specific mention is to be made regarding the role of the People's Science Movements or PSMs in the literacy mission in India during the early 1990s. Several non-governmental organizations such as Pratham, ITC, Rotary Club, Lions Club have worked to improve the literacy rate in India. Dr. Shanta Sinha won a Magsaysay Award in 2003 in the recognition of her guiding the people of Andhra Pradesh to end the scourge of child labour and send all of their children to school. As head of an extension program at the University of Hyderabad in 1987, she organized a 3-month-long camp to prepare children rescued from bonded labour to attend school. Later in 1991, she guided her family's Mamidipuri Venkatarangaya Foundation to take up this idea as part of its overriding mission in Andhra Pradesh. Her original transition camps grew into full-fledged residential bridge schools. The foundation's aim is to create a social climate hostile to child labour, child marriage and other practices that deny children the right to a normal childhood. Today, the MV Foundation's bridge schools and programs extend to 4,300 villages. The National Literacy Mission is laying great stress on vigorous monitoring and systematic evaluation of adult education program launched under its agencies in the country. It has developed and circulated guidelines for concurrent and final evaluation of the total literacy campaigns and post-literacy programs. A comprehensive set of guidelines on continuing education have also been prepared. So far, about 424 total literacy campaign districts and 176 post-literacy districts have been evaluated by the external evaluation agencies. So far, 32 districts have been externally evaluated during continuing education phase. It is hoped that the new approach of evaluating literacy campaigns and continuing education schemes will ensure complete transparency and enhance the credibility of the results and impact assessments. This is accepted as the dominant strategy for eradication of adult illiteracy in India. These campaigns are area-specific, time-bound, volunteer-based, cost-effective and outcome-oriented. The thrust is on attainment of functional literacy through prescribed norms of literacy and numeracy. The learner is the focal point in the entire process, and measurement of learning outcome is continuous, informal, participative and non-threatening. The campaign is implemented in stages which may be overlapping at times. These should be understood clearly and followed meticulously. The initiation of a total literacy campaign begins with the process of consultation and consensus involving political parties, teachers, students and cultural groups. A core team is identified and the project is formulated. The campaigns are implemented through district-level literacy committees, which are registered under the Societies Registration Act as independent and autonomous bodies to provide a unified umbrella under which a number of individuals and organizations work together. Leadership is provided by the district collector or chief secretary and the Zilla Parishad or district council. All sections of society are given due representation in planning and implementation of the program. The structure rests on 3 pillars: participatory people's committees, full-time functionaries and area coordinators, and a support system provided by government officials. It forms an interactive and a communicative process of management and implementation. The campaign is delivered through volunteers without any expectation of reward or incentive. A detailed survey is conducted in the district to enumerate and identify the non-literate people. The process of the survey also provides opportunities for person contact and interaction. During the survey, volunteer teachers and master trainers are also identified. This is an extremely important part of the total literacy campaigns, where mass mobilization takes place through a multifaceted communication strategy which creates the right environment and enthusiasm for teaching learning activities. The success of a total literacy campaign depends to a large extent on the effectiveness with which all sections of society are mobilized. The basic objective of the environment building stage is to generate a demand for literacy. Its momentum has to be sustained. It must not merely precede the campaign, but pervade it throughout. Environmental building includes mobilizing public opinion, creating community participation, sensitizing educated sections of the community and recruiting them as volunteers, mobilizing and motivating non-literate people to become literate. Several media are utilized for environment building. Effective results have been obtained by Kamarajat district in Tamil Nadu launched its total literacy campaigns on the 50th anniversary of the Quit India movement and called it Quit Illiteracy Movement. More than 1,000 performances of jatas were held. An effigy of the demon of illiteracy was burnt. Buffaloes and elephants were painted with literacy slogans and taken around on the streets to create an interest in literacy. Letters and words were hung from trees. There were wall writings in many places. There was a monthly radio program on literacy as well as a monthly newsletter. Amongst the learners were rickshaw-pullers, Muslim women and members of the nomadic gypsy tribe. Building on this, 6 campaigns were integrated in the post-literacy stage: health, legal literacy, freedom struggle, disaster management, small savings and water management in agriculture. Also, libraries were opened in each village. The objective is to make the materials relevant while keeping the larger national canvas and its concerns in view. The materials are based on an innovative pedagogy called Improved Pace and Content of Learning, or IPCL, that incorporates motivation-oriented teaching learning materials. Books specially suited for new literates and adults have been prepared. A 3-grade primer is used with each grade corresponding to a different level of literacy. The primer contains exercises, tests and space for practice to achieve the objective of imparting literacy in 200 hours. Training is conducted through key resource persons and master trainers. 1 master trainer for every 25 to 30 volunteer teachers and 1 key resource person for every 25 to 30 master trainers. First, the key resource person are trained, who in turn train the master trainers. Volunteer teachers are then trained by the master trainers in batches. There are 3 progressive tests of primers. Each primer is an integrated one in the sense that it combines workbook, exercise book, tools of evaluation of learning outcome, certification, etc. The entire process is based on the principle of self-evaluation. The tests are simple and participative. Every learner is free to attain the desired level according to his or her convenience. It is, however, expected that a learner should be able to complete all the 3 primers within the overall duration of 200 hours spread over 6 to 8 months. Monitoring and supervision of total literacy campaigns is done through a periodic system of reporting and visits of the officials of the National Literacy Mission, State Directorates of adult or mass education, and the state resource centers. The management information system in a campaign is based on the twin principles of participation and correction. It has to be accountable, credible, and instead of being enrollment oriented, it has to be outcome oriented. Though the total literacy campaign is meant to impart functional literacy, it also disseminates a basket of other socially relevant messages such as enrollment and retention of children in schools, immunization, propagation of small family norms, promotion of maternity and child care, women's equality and empowerment, peace and communal harmony. Literacy is a right. It is implicit in the right to education. It is recognized as a right explicitly for both children and adults in certain international conventions. It is included in key international declarations. The benefits of literacy can be conveniently, if arbitrarily, classified as human, political, cultural, social, and economic. The human benefits from literature are related to factors such as the improved self-esteem, empowerment, creativity, and critical reflection that participation in adult literacy programs and the practice of literacy may produce. Human benefits are intrinsically valuable and may also be instrumental in realizing other benefits of literacy, improve health, increase political participation, and so on. Self-esteem. There is extensive reference to the positive impact of literacy on self-esteem. Improved self-esteem has been reported in studies of literacy programs in Brazil, India, Nigeria, the United States, and several African and South Asian countries. A review of 44 studies on the behavioral changes involved in literacy training, bound 1990, also provides many examples. Statements such as "I have more self-confidence," quoted by Kenneth Doronila 1996 in a study of the Philippines, are typical. Empowerment. Literacy may empower learners, especially women, to take individual and collective action in various contexts such as household, workplace, and community in two related ways. First, literacy programs themselves may be designed and conducted so as to make participants into authors of their own learning, developers of their own knowledge, and partners in dialogue about the successful completion of adult literacy programs yields benefits similar to formal schooling. Literacy programs can contribute to broader socio-economic processes of empowerment, provided they take place in a supportive environment. The empowering potential of literacy can translate into increased political participation and thus contribute to the quality of public policies and democracy. Political participation. The relationship between education and political participation is well established. Educated people are to some extent more likely to vote and voice more tolerant attitudes and democratic values. Hanum and Buckman, 2003. Participation in adult literacy programs is also correlated with increased participation in trade unions, community action, and national political life, especially when empowerment is at the core of program design. Democracy. The expansion of education may contribute to the expansion of democracy and vice versa. Yet the precise nature of the relationship between education and democracy remains unclear and difficult to measure accurately. Ethnic equality. It is probably reasonable to assume, however, that the impact of literacy is likely similar to that of educational expansion, that is, it has the potential to benefit disadvantaged ethnic groups but will not necessarily do so. The cultural benefits of literacy are harder to identify clearly than benefits in terms of political participation. Adult literacy programs may facilitate transmission of certain values and promote transformation of other values, attitudes and behaviors through critical reflection. Adult literacy programs can thus be instrumental in preserving and promoting cultural openness and diversity. Cultural change. Literacy programs can help challenge attitudes and behavioral patterns. Indeed, this type of cultural transformation is central to the Freirean approach, which aims to develop skills of critical reflection. Freire, 1985. Preservation of cultural diversity. Adult literacy programs can help preserve cultural diversity. In particular, literacy programs that make use of minority languages have the potential to improve people's ability to participate in their own culture. This has been observed in programs whose outcomes included the writing down of folk tales. The practice of literacy can be instrumental in people's achievement of a range of capabilities such as maintaining good health and living longer, learning throughout life, controlling reproductive behavior, raising healthy children and educating them. Improving literacy levels thus has potentially large social benefits such as increased life expectancy, reduced child mortality and improved children's health. The evidence has often focused on the benefits of education as opposed to literacy per se, but evidence on the effects of adult literacy programs is beginning to accumulate. Health. A growing body of longitudinal research evaluating the health benefits of literacy programs point to the same impact as that of education and indeed in some cases to a greater impact. Reproductive behavior. The negative correlation between education, in particular that of females, and fertility is well established. It was demonstrated by Corcoran 1979 and Wheeler in 1980 and has consistently been reported since in studies both within and between countries. Gender equality. Most literacy programs have targeted women rather than both sexes, limiting the ways in which gender equality can be addressed holistically and directly through the programs themselves. The programs have thus tended to concentrate specially on women's inequality rather than gender equality. Participation in adult literacy programs does enable women to gain access to and challenge male domains by, for instance, entering male-dominated areas of work, learning languages of power previously associated with men, where only men had access to formal education, and participating in household finances. Economic benefits. The economic returns to education have been extensively studied, especially in terms of increased individual income and economic growth. Economic growth. Education has been consistently shown to be a major determinant of individual income alongside professional experience. While the number of years of schooling remains the most frequently used variable, recent studies tend also to use assessments of cognitive skills, typically literacy and numeracy test scores. With this, we have come to the end of today's session. Do you have any question?
Madam, I have one question. Are there any tips to attract adults towards literacy programs?
Adults, unlike children, teenagers and students, in most cases have a lot of things on their minds and your course probably the last one of them. In addition, your adult learners don't see the rewards of their efforts as soon as they would expect, and academic habits they once possessed are also long forgotten. So, to attract them, one need to follow some tips like create useful and relevant learning experiences based on the age group and interest of your learners, facilitate exploration, challenge through games, use humor, chunk information, add suspense, accommodate individual interests and career goals, encourage them to think by either providing them with brain teasers or by asking thought-provoking questions, Let learning occur through mistakes. Make it visually compelling. Get examples of their workplace. Be respectful to them. Ask for feedback and present the benefits of undertaking the course. Any more questions? Hope you have understood literacy and adult education. Thank you for watching.